begin by asking Salman Bhai to perhaps give us the reasons why he decided to adopt this form, this genre, and enter into the territory of literature, giving up the safety and security, if I may say so, of the political domain which he was used to. He's a political animal. Or was it frustration with politics and it was some kind of a diversion?
One of the themes in this book is about the generational conflict between Mughal kings, how they have failed to understand each other. I did the play because I would have wanted to write a meaningful history or a re-look at history, and I obviously no longer anywhere near the world of scholarship, and that the kind of application of mind and the time that it requires to actually write something meaningful. Whereas as far as the play is concerned, I've had some experience of theater from school and college, and I could keep doing the play in my mind. Didn't have to be writing anything. I could keep playing the scenes out in my mind and then reproducing them on paper when I stopped somewhere in the evening during my tours. And I lost some of those papers, but I remembered those lines and I kept coming back to them, and so somehow finally what I wanted actually produced for an audience was finally produced. This was a time when I was leading my party in UP, the time at which the party was on a very rapid slide down for reasons well known to you. There was an extreme divide of opinion in the country about the whole issue of communities not being on parity. The minorities feeling that they were deprived, the majority feeling that they were being treated unjustly. There was talk of appeasement, and there was talk of identity politics, much of which many very bright scholars in our country have talked about repeatedly. And it's something that will keep coming back as part of our plural democratic debate. But the very concept of identity and slogans that I heard in opposition to ourselves, and I think you've all heard those slogans. Babar ki aulad was a pejorative statement and a slogan against Muslims as a minority, and it was seen as the worst thing that you could say to somebody by saying you're Babar's aulad. People, of course, historians know both Aurangzeb and Babur. They have a different take on both of them from what the common perception of these people is. But I thought that there was something there in that very idea of identity that I could work on, and that's what I tried to weave into this play. So there is the issue of conflict of generations. There is an issue of the role of the woman in Islamic politics and in modern day politics, the role of the woman. That's very powerfully represented here. The idea of conservative Islam and classical Islam, as if one can describe it as that, and Sufism, and the way Sufism represents a broader face and liberal face of Islam, that tension can be seen in this. Akbar's idea of a new India, and how that new India had to be brought together through some very intricate fabric weaving is again represented in this. And the essential tension, you spoke of the dramatic tension, the essential dramatic tension represented by Bahadur Shah Zafar saying, I too am a son of Babur, obviously by being part of the same dynasty. And he is being asked by this inquisitive history student who has this experience of being able to converse with Bahadur Shah Zafar, and who's actually looking for an answer as to why Mughals or Muslims are treated as sons of Babur, and why Babur is treated as somebody so alien to our aspirations, our culture, and our sense of ourselves. And Bahadur Shah Zafar, in contrast, asking this young man, who's a historian, Why do you treat me differently from Babar? And then finally, the last dramatic thing, and this is for the poetry lovers, is that this boy says that we are now free and you can come back with me. I've come here to take you back. And this is, of course, a live conversation between this boy and Bahadur Shah Zafar. And this boy says, now that we are free, why don't we take you back and we make you our emperor again, and a democratically elected emperor. And Bahadur Shah Zafar says, I've lost everything. All I now have left with me is the pathos of my poetry. And you want to take away that as well by taking me and transporting me back to India. So who will then ever pay attention to Lagta nahi hai ji mera ujre diyar mein, kiski bani hai आलमे नापायदार में, कह दो उन हसरतों से कहीं और जा बसें, इतनी जगह कहाँ है कुए यार में, कितना है बदनसीब ज़फ़र दफ़न के लिए, दो गज़ ज़मीं भी ना मिली कुए यार में. So this is what he says I will lose if I go back to India. But this is what we have lost by considering him or the progeny that came after him as sons of Babur rather than sons of Bahadur Shah Zafar.
But the Indian encounter with Islam doesn't start with Babur. It goes back millennially. And there have been other works of fiction which try to project a totally different ideological alternative or ideal, because Islam came historically to the subcontinent in peace. There would be people who are sympathetic to an ideology which, if I may say so in the Indian context at the moment, is not the mainline, politically correct, Nehruvian synthesis ideology. And the basic contention is this, which is reflected in plays, in films, and so on. But primarily, the battle has to be fought in the political arena. But if there is no shared dream, if there has been no memory of a shared struggle, can we talk about ideology in literature when ideology is no longer relevant in politics? I mean, we are interested in fast economic growth rate, then we say everything else will follow. We think people will be liberated when they are better educated, they are better fed. There will be no Naxalite problem, there will be no regional identity, there will be no Assam, Bodo versus that problem.
Is ideology dead? And if it's dead in society, then can it still be alive in literature? I think it's not dead. I think ideology is not dead, and ideology will never die in this country till some semblance, echoes, and some connectivity in changing times too remains with the basic premise of modern Indian society that you find in the works of and the thoughts and vision of Mahatma Gandhi and those who worked very closely with the Mahatma. Now, of course, people would want me to say, somebody got up in one such gathering and said to me, and what about Ambedkar? And I said, yes, Mahatma Gandhi and Ambedkar. Then I said, after a while, somebody will get up from the back and said, and what about Maulana Abul Kalam Azad? And I said, please, I will now just produce the entire list of those greats that have created for us this India. But you and I, continue to struggle with the idea of India. That's why this play is called Sons of Babur, but it has another line which says, a play in search of India. It is, what is India for any one of us?
So these 4 books which you have written, the title somehow is interwoven. There is a spirit behind which is trying to put you to write in a particular way and try to find an answer and convince your audiences that you are looking for India, what India you are looking for, and what kind of India. Have you found an answer to your questions?
If the titles reflect the contents, then obviously there's a link in the contents of the book, both in terms of history, in terms of thought, in terms of one's perception of oneself and India. I think there is something that's reflective of my own experience of myself, my birth, my experience of my growth, my relationships. Those who know this history will read it in one way. Those who don't know this history will read it in another way. The best that I've been able to do here is the conversation between different students who talk about this experience of the right and the left. The protagonist of the book is a leftist. He's a left historian. The people who question him, there is a Muslim boy and there is also another person. Then there's a third person who's actually a mixed marriage girl from UK who's returned to India for an experience. And she also says that I can't understand why you people argue about this and take sides about these things. So I have touched upon that thought. In other words, I've given space even to the right to express their views. I haven't put a ban on them. I haven't restricted them. In fact, the play starts with the slogan, Babar ki aulad wapas jao, Babar ki aulad wapas jao. This is the first slogan that you hear in the play. And then, of course, the communists reply by saying, Hindutva ke hitesho wapas jao, Hindutva ke hitesho wapas jao. But the space is given to them. I can't be sympathetic to them because I'm not made to be sympathetic to them.
No. I didn't intend
Can
to...
you read something from there?
that would be nice if you could.
Well, you really got me thinking of so many things. I'm actually going back. Something is relationship has developed between this boy and Bahadur Shah Zafar. And Bahadur Shah Zafar is describing the end of the Mughals, the great Mughals, the death of Aurangzeb. And he says to this boy, aren't there rulers who do not see, although they are not blind? And look at us. We could see it all, but we didn't dare to speak. The Firangis watched like a hawk over the Qila Mu'ala. They forced their words on us and silenced us. So we now speak a language that they cannot understand. You're losing me, my lord. Do you mean your poetry? Yes, our poetry, the voice of pain. But does our realm understand it, or will our words and thoughts perish in the fire of hate and partition? Did anyone learn from 1857 the broken spirit and cracks of division? My lord, do you know of partition, about the tragic divide? Partition. Yes, to tell you the truth, we saw it coming. We knew that a divide was inevitable with the fall of Delhi. Generations of bonding was being destroyed. That is how the British willed it, right? But the cracks would be so deep and permanent. Who could have foretold? Banaras is called Varanasi now. Delhi changed its name and character when the British troops returned to reconquer the city. Mirza Ghalib said it had changed forever in an awful way. It became a city of painful memories and desolate monuments, of shared dreams, of shattered dreams, of dead men and women, abandoned homes. The Jamna turned the color of the Red Fort as though humanity was mortally injured and bleeding. For what?
See, you have an ideological precondition. You said, I can't be anything else but a liberal. But a lot more less privileged in this subcontinent would have the problem of not having naturally imbibed this ideology, being brought up, born and brought up after the demolition of the desolate mosque in 1992. They have been brought up on an ideology which is not exactly conducive to the idea of India, which this play argues for. What do you do with that?
We have to find the vocabulary, and we have to find the energy that it will take to reach out to these generations on both sides of the divide. And we have to ensure that we have a government, whoever heads the government from time to time, that is sensitive, compassionate, and that does not confuse firmness with crudeness. If you believe in the cause and if you believe in what you think ideologically is the right thing, then you have to continue, even with the spirit of Ekla Chalo, that you have to continue marching on in the hope that if you will not be able to reach the destination, somebody else will follow you in your footsteps. That, I believe, is the message I would give to the largest group of people I know professionally, which is my party, that this is what we need to do. And we shouldn't get distracted by periodic successes of the alternative, because if we don't hold tight to our idea of India, then God knows what will happen. And may I just read to you the beginning now. We read to you the end, but beginning, when he is just beginning to get to know Bahadur Shah Zafar, this boy Rudranshu Mitra, he says, Bahadur Shah says, and what brings you to our gilded cage, and what's your interest in us? I am a historian, my lord. Rediscovery of the past is my purpose. I'm studying Emperor Babur's reign, trying to understand something others simply refuse to. Ooh, Abul Fazl's clan. You rediscover, but you cannot recover, right? Our friends, historians, write history in ink, but real people write it with their sweat and blood. Why rebuke history? Why do you not trust anyone? I'm here for you honestly. And would you have trusted? ruthlessly exiled and confined to this hell after being born in the palace of splendor built by the glorious Badshah Shah Jahan. When each breath is torture, what good is trust then? I am sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. You truly know more than any historian, but then you are part of history.